I interviewed Chris Van Vliet, a reporter, podcaster, and Emmy Award winner. He interviews people like Tom Cruise, Dwayne Johnson, and Anne Hathaway. Today, we're going to learn how he became the best reporter in Hollywood.
How much weight have you lost to get into this shape right now?
You did not just ask me that
I'm
question.
just saying, you're like...
What a forward young man you are. My goodness. How much weight?
I'm not saying you needed to lose weight.
Chris Van Vliet, my man. Dude, did the news come out? Boy or girl? Is it out yet?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we had the gender reveal party on
Okay.
Saturday. It's a girl.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm going to be a girl dad.
Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. Thank you so
Congratulations, man. Listen, like this is a big step, man. You checking off the life
Look,
checklist.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, man.
It's been a heck of a year. I got engaged. We bought a house. Now my fiance is going to have a baby. I'm going to be a dad. This has been a heck of a year.
Yeah, great year for you, man. More
Nothing
YouTube-
is bigger, though, than this right here, right now.
You and me, man.
Should we call this the flannel hour?
The flannel hour
This
with
is-
Chris Van Vliet.
Like we're dressed
Dude.
very similarly here.
Yeah, I mean, I am inspired by you, so subconsciously, maybe who knows?
Likewise. So maybe
Dude.
if my hair could only look like that.
Dude.
How?
How? I should be asking you how. That looks
Get out of
great.
here. Get out of here. I'm just happy I still have hair.
Dude, I mean, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. I'm just enjoying it while I can. My dad doesn't have the best hairline, so I'm just,
Ooh,
clock's ticking.
but they say it's on your mom's side.
Oh,
So
really?
how does your mom's dad, how's his hairline?
It's pretty solid, yeah.
You're good then.
I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good to go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You're 20?
Yeah, just
Oh,
yeah.
you're rocking it.
Dude, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Listen, I want to know everything about you, Chris. I want to know, were you always an outgoing person as a kid?
I'm going to have to say no, not really. I'd say I was pretty introverted till probably like midway through high school. And then when I came out of my shell, like that was it. It was like the floodgates opened. I remember there was things that I liked doing. Like I liked performing, but I would always be so like in my head about like, what are they thinking? Like, are they laughing at me? Are they making fun of me? And then something shifted right around 15 years old. And I got like, it was a talent show. My friends were, this is so silly. My friends were wrestling and I was a commentator, and there was a moment where I was part of the show and I got out of it. And like one of the wrestlers pushed me and I ended up doing a swanton bomb onto him, which is Jeff Hardy's finishing move. And I took off like the coat I was wearing and the crowd like just went insane. And I went, oh, I like that. That sounds good. And that was kind of it for me. From that moment on, I loved being able to like hold a microphone in my hand and elicit a response from a crowd, like make them laugh, make them cheer. I ran for vice president of my student council in high school.
Same here.
Because that was the person who did the morning announcements.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, if I can do the morning announcements every morning, that's like my own radio show. So that was those were like the formidable years for me. But up till that point, I was the person who, and I still very much never want to be the center of attention. I would much rather be interested than trying to be interesting. And I think a lot of people get that wrong. I think a lot of people that host podcasts definitely get that wrong. They think like, well, my name's up there on the marquee. It's my show. I'm going to try to like lead the way and I'm going to try to be the star here. And I've always tried to be like, tell me more about you.
100%.
I'm listening.
That's been my thing as well. I'm not that interesting. I want to hear more about CVV, like it's all about the guest.
Yeah, I realized, especially early on with the interviews that I was doing, I've been so fortunate to be able to travel the world and interview some incredible people. I realized early on, people weren't coming to my channel to see me. They were coming to the channel to see Angelina Jolie or The Rock or Chris Jericho or Brad Pitt or whoever it happened to be.
Man, listen, you've interviewed the biggest stars. Tom Cruise, you've done Dwayne Johnson, DiCaprio, Anne Hathaway, Leslie Mann. A lot of people. We'll get more into that later.
Yeah,
Do you ever feel nervous? Like you're interviewing Brad Pitt tomorrow. Do you ever have that, I'm really nervous to interview Brad Pitt tomorrow. Do you still get that?
I think I get nervous about like what does it mean? Like I really want this to go well.
Yeah.
So I'm not nervous like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting so and so. It's more of, okay, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself because I want this conversation to like flow and go well. And a lot of times when you're interviewing an A-list celebrity, they're doing 30 or 40 interviews that day.
Yeah.
So it's more nervousness of like, what is the outcome going to be? And I get in my head about that. And it's easy to get in your head when you're standing in a hallway. The name on the door says Brad Pitt or Morgan Freeman or Meryl Streep or The Rock or whoever. And you're like, okay, this is happening in 5 minutes or whatever. So that can sometimes play with you.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I can't even imagine, bro. The idea of just interviewing Brad Pitt tomorrow just sounds so nerve-wracking.
But the thing you got to remember is they're just people like you.
Yeah.
But they're just people who worked really, really hard. And I think that unfortunately in our society, and this is especially bad on platforms like Instagram, we just see the finished product.
Yeah.
We just see somebody who has all the success that they have, and we don't see the journey to get there. And I think that when you start to peel back a bunch of layers and when you start to take it back a bunch of steps, you go, oh yeah, like what's that famous story about Brad Pitt? Like he was wearing a chicken suit out here like on Hollywood Boulevard, like promoting one of the restaurants.
Yeah.
And then I think when you can put that in your mindset of like, oh, he had to start somewhere too. Oh, it's not, maybe it's not so bad that I'm at the spot that I'm at in my journey right now.
That's a really good way to look at it. We're all people just trying to work hard and complete our goals and stuff. I think it was your Twitter bio. It said like vague goals have vague results. And I always thought that's such a good way to go about life,
I think that so many people set these goals of like, I'm going to lose some weight this year. It's like, that is so incredibly vague.
Yeah.
If you lose 1 pound between January 1st and December 31st, you've achieved your goal. You have lost some weight this year.
Yeah.
Or like, man, I'm going to write a book sometime. It's like, well, when? Like, at least put a date on the calendar and work towards that. Because the opposite of vague goals get vague results is specific goals get specific results. So I'm a firm believer in that.
That's amazing, man. With all these celebrities that you meet over long spans of time, 10 years, 15 years that you've been in the industry, do you build like friendships and repertoire with these people? Because I see with The Rock, you guys have built like an on-screen friendship, and it's so nice to see over the years, and he's giving you fatherly advice now, which is amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And all of that is just a true credit to who Dwayne Johnson is as a person. Like he truly sees you as a person. And I think that sometimes when you go in to do an interview, they just see you as another like time slot on their interview schedule. Dwayne, DJ, The Rock, I don't even know what we're supposed to call him. He's so good at being, he's self-aware enough to know that he's one of the biggest stars in the world. And he knows that like, this is a big deal. You're meeting one of the biggest celebrities in the world, but he makes the moment special for you. And I hadn't seen him in person in 4 years. And the day before I did the interview, we bumped into each other in the hotel. And he was like, hey, Chris, how you been? You still living in Miami? And I'm like,
yeah.
Hold on, what? I was expecting him to just kind of walk by. Maybe, oh yeah, I recognize that person. But he came over, shook my hand, gave me a hug, remembered my name, remembered where I used to live. Like, that's pretty special. Certainly not at the point where I'm texting Dwayne Johnson. But there have been some people that like, it started out as a professional relationship. I interviewed them for something. And then it turns out like, they become like a colleague. They become a friend. They become someone you can bounce ideas off of. And that's one of the coolest things.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. Like I don't know. That's just so inspiring, man. Listen, I mean, we got to get into it. People want to know what happened with the Dakota Johnson, Leslie Mann situation.
Are you single?
I am single.
You're handsome.
Wow, thank you. Tell me more.
You have cute socks.
You look
and
like
Barbie.
you have really big muscles.
Barbie.
Can you unbutton your shirt right now? Like,
my shirt is fully unbuttoned. I mean, it's on right now.
Yeah, I mean, how are you feeling in that moment? What happened after? Dakota Johnson, Leslie Mann, little tipsy, I think, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Fully sober?
I mean, yeah, I don't think.
Okay.
So it was for a movie called How to Be Single.
Okay.
And so, to kind of back it up here, when you do those style of interviews, they're doing 30, 40, maybe 50 interviews in a day. So they're sitting in a hotel room, and then every 4 minutes, a new journalist, new reporter comes in, sits down, does an interview, gets up, leaves, another one comes in, rinse, lather, repeat, right? So one of my friends is walking out of their room and goes, good luck with that one. And I was like, oh, I'll try to make the best of this. And I had these terrible pickup lines written out that I was going to try on them. And I thought, like, that'd be a good bit. It's a movie about dating. I'm going to try out these terrible pickup lines and just see what happens. And as soon as I walked in there, Leslie Mann just was having fun. And she later said in an interview that, you know, it just kind of broke up the monotony of the day, that like she was having some fun, I was having some fun, and I was just like, let's roll with this. And I was really fortunate to be working on a TV show called Deco Drive in Miami, where they loved that kind of like off the cuff style of interview. So I'm like, I'm just going to push this as far as I can and see where this goes.
Yeah.
You've also got to remember, this is 2016 when this happened. I don't think that would happen now, but to answer your question of what happened afterwards, absolutely nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I saw Dakota Johnson a handful of months later for a movie called Bad Times at the El Royale. And I walked in, she was sitting next to John Hamm, and I walked in, she goes, "Oh, did Leslie Mann and I ask you to take your shirt off? I am so sorry." And I'm like, "No, it's okay. Like, no, it's that was a fun moment. It's okay." The funny thing about the way that the internet works is the original clip gets all kinds of views, millions of views. Nobody even knows that the apology exists. And it's on my YouTube channel with, you know, a handful of views, but it's so funny how weighted that is.
Context, yeah. No one gets the full context. They get the clipped up version that gets fed to them. Yeah. That's 100% true.
I haven't seen Leslie Mann since.
She's avoiding you, man.
Is she? No. I don't know. It'd be great to see her again. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is amazing, bro. But yeah, that's so amazing to see. Yeah, like even like a little moment like that, Dakota Johnson, you know, remembered who you were in the sea of the press junkets.
I put that clip on. That happened on a Saturday. I think that interview happened on a Saturday, and I posted it thinking like, there's a lot of Dakota Johnson fans out there who really just know her from 50 Shades, and here she is having a little bit of fun. I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel, and it got like an okay amount of views. And then the next day, it got an okay amount of views. And then Monday, it blew up. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's just kind of the way the internet works.
Yeah, that's how it works, man. I mean, the way I found you was like a couple years ago was, and how I even recognized you was the Anne Hathaway moment.
That is so funny.
This is a forward young man right here. This is the forward young man.
What a forward young man you are.
You know?
I am so genuinely, I mean, that makes me feel so good because that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So I will genuinely take that as a compliment that you would still recognize it from 11 years ago. I wouldn't have recognized you 11 years ago.
No, I was a kid, man.
You were 9 years old.
Yeah.
I was also 9 years old.
No, man, you just leave that impression. And I don't know if you know this, but there's like these videos, you know, that like Ryan Gosling being funny for 8 minutes or Jake Gyllenhaal being funny for 15 minutes. You're always in a lot of those videos. You invoke that in people. You invoke the funny moments.
I'm also in the like compilations that I always get tagged in or someone shares with me on Facebook where it's like the 15 times that actors shut down reporters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks for showing only like the tiny little snippet of my interview with Anne Hathaway and not the full breadth of what happened in that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, she played you pretty well. That was funny.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was a fun exchange.
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah.
And I've interviewed her many times since, and it's just been great.
Yeah, that was for Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, 2012. Wow.
I interviewed her for a movie called One Day.
One Day.
And I was like, man, those first photos of her as Catwoman just came out. I've got to ask her about it. And I'm just genuinely interested in fitness and nutrition. And I'm the first one to click on an article when it's like, here's how this actor gained 30 pounds of muscle, or here's how this actor, Christian Bale, lost 80 pounds, or whatever it happens to be. So I've asked those questions of people like Christian Bale, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, you know, and the list goes on and on and on. I asked a similar question to Anne Hathaway. I just didn't phrase it very well, and I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I wish I had phrased the question like, tell me about your workout routine, or like, what food do you really miss eating when you're getting into this kind of shape?
Yeah.
Which are also questions I've asked. But I just kind of wrote down like Catwoman, and I didn't like write down anything else.
Yeah.
And then when I got in the moment and I had the time to ask her the question, What came out is what came out.
Yeah, man. That's interesting. She took it really well. It was a great moment. It was a beautiful moment, man.
I just got tagged on Twitter like 2 days ago about that. Like that will forever get shared.
It's gonna follow you, man. It's gonna follow you. It's gonna keep getting viral, reviral.
I should be the one reposting this. I should repost it every week.
Yeah, man. I mean, you have such legendary moments with people. You know, like it's insane. You captured the Woody Harrelson Hemsworth moment. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I've had a lot of viral moments that I wasn't even really aware were happening at that time. I learned really early on in my career that you got to take big swings. And I realized that even though you may be talking to one of the most famous people in the world, the room is really only filled with like a few camera operators, maybe a publicist or two, and that's it. So if you take a big swing and ask a big question and it falls flat, nobody needs to see it except for all the people in the room. And if you take a big swing and it works out, oh my God, you've got a great moment. Like there's one where I asked Gerard Butler if he will do a movie punch.
I'm wondering if right now you can teach me the secret to a movie punch.
Oh, cool. Like, thank you so much. Congratulations on the movie. You're awesome. Like, I'll see you later. And then we just don't have to air that part. But if he says, yeah, sure, like sit up in your seat a little bit and I'll show you, you've got an amazing moment.
Yeah.
So I just realized early on, like, take big chances in these interviews. And if it works out, amazing. And if it doesn't, oh, well, on to the next one.
Yeah. Dude, that's so amazing. I got to refer to my notes. I don't know how you do this without notes, man. You're a master at this, man.
You're doing great. Come on.
Dude, thank you, man.
I just put it, if I have notes, I usually put it right here.
Okay.
And then
glance.
Yeah, and then when someone's, when the guest is talking, you just glance down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I'm always got to pull out my phone. Sorry,
but now it looks like you're texting your mom or something.
Yeah.
Tell her I say hi.
Dude, CVV said hi. Listen, what was your first pinch me moment working in this entertainment industry? Like, no way I'm meeting blank and blank, or no way I'm doing this, you know?
That's a great question. And I think there's been quite a few of them for me. The first time I was just on TV in general was a really big pinch me moment because I didn't know what was happening. I was an intern at a TV station in Peterborough, Ontario. And up until that point, I was shadowing reporters going out when they were doing stories. And I went in one day and my boss goes, here's your story. And I go, well, cool, yeah. So which reporter am I following today? He goes, well, you're going to be with Terry, but this is your story. You're going to be on the 6 o'clock news tonight. So that was a really big pinch me moment. And also a big awakening of like, all right, you've said you wanted to do this. Here's your chance. Show us what you got. So that was a really big one. I'd say that there was a really big one when I first moved to the US because I'm from Canada. And, a week in, I was reporting from the red carpet of the Oscars. And that was a really big one because it's like, this is the biggest night in entertainment. This is the Super Bowl of entertainment.
Yeah, 100%.
And here I am on the red carpet. So that was a really big one too. But honestly, man, it's almost every day when I get to go, this is the thing I always wanted to do and I'm doing it. My goodness, like how lucky am I?
So when you were a kid, you knew you were going to be in the entertainment industry. You just knew it?
I knew that it was something I wanted to do.
Okay.
But it seemed like a real long shot.
Really?
Yeah. Because think about it, especially in the era that I was coming up in broadcasting, if you weren't hired by a radio station or a TV station, there wasn't YouTube. You couldn't just, if you wanted to go live on something, you needed to own a TV station.
Yeah.
Now you pull out your phone, you push a button.
And you're live.
So for me, it was like, all right, I want to work in television. I've got to find someone that's going to hire me. Well, how do you get someone to hire you? You got to show what you can do. Well, how can you show someone what you can do? You got to get hired. And it's like this weird, vicious catch-22.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this vicious cycle. So it was something I knew I always wanted to do, but I went to school for communication studies and I had a moment that really changed my life. Like it was an epiphany in my senior year. I had the best time at school. I lived with 4 of my best friends. I decided if, 10 a.m. was too early to go to class or not. Like we've all been there. I woke up one day. I probably slept through some sort of class and I realized, oh my gosh, when we graduate, we're going to have to work for, the rest of our lives. And that was a concept I couldn't quite wrap my head around at that point in my life. And I was like, man, if I got to go work for the rest of my life, I at the very least want to have a job that I don't hate. If I have a job that like I love, oh my God, that'd be the cherry on top.
Yeah.
But I at the very least want to have a job that I don't hate. I never wanted to be one of those people that couldn't enjoy Sunday because Monday was the next day and they had to go to a job that they didn't enjoy. So that was really it. And I was like, I've always loved broadcasting. I went to school for communication studies. I am going to give it a real effort. I'm going to give it all I've got. And if it doesn't work out and it wasn't meant to be, at least when I'm like 78, I can go, man, when I was 21, I tried really hard.
Yeah, man, that's so good to hear because I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way.
But you're doing it.
Dude,
look at you.
I hear that a lot, but it doesn't feel like I'm doing it. But I'm really trying, man. I'm the same way, man. I have to be doing something I love, or it's just, it brings you happiness inside, man. You know, it's a real thing. And what you said about, you basically said you can take control of your destiny. Basically, you know, you don't have to be part of CNN or CBS or whatever, Entertainment Tonight or whatever, to become what you're doing, you know?
Especially not anymore.
Yeah. And you joined the era like in the cusp of it, I think, like in early 2000s, right?
Yeah, like I got my first TV job in 2005.
Yeah, that's when YouTube came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but I had a YouTube account in 2007, but I didn't really start the YouTube account I have now until 2011.
Okay, yeah.
But even then, I was still an early adapter. I was posting the interviews, like the raw form of the interviews that I was doing. Because I was like, man, I just talked to someone huge, like, I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence or Oprah or someone like that, Ben Affleck or someone, Leonardo DiCaprio. And you'd be like,
the list just keeps going. Obama, you know?
I wish. That'd be a great conversation. You'd have this great interview and you'd be like, man, that's kind of unfortunate that the only people that would see this under the traditional model of broadcasting are the people that A, happen to have a TV turned on, B, turned on to that channel, C, tuned in at that exact moment in time. And it's like all of those things had to align for you to see this TV segment. Man, that's kind of unfortunate because now it's kind of gone from broadcasting down to niche casting. If you're a huge fan of Ryan Reynolds, you don't have to turn on the TV and hope there's going to be an interview with him or hope there's going to be one of his movies. You open your laptop up and you type in his name into YouTube, and then you can watch his videos until the end of time.
Yeah.
So it's gone very much from broad of like, we're going to show things on TV that everybody will like, down to hyper niche of like, what are you into? It's all available online.
You mentioned it a little bit about how these press junkets work. You know, you're in a hotel room and with a time limit, you know, wrapping up. Could you delve more into that? Like, what's like step one? Like, do you get an email the day before? Like, we're gonna be at the Four Seasons with Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt.
Yeah. I'll walk you through this whole thing.
Okay, awesome.
Step one is usually 2-ish, maybe 3-ish weeks out. You get an email from the movie studio.
Oh, nice.
And they say, we're excited to invite you to the press junket for, we'll use Babylon because it's coming up here, for the press junket for Babylon. And then all of the details are laid out, like here's the when, here's the where, here's the who. And it's like RSVP by like the end of the week to secure your spot. If you live in another city, they actually fly you in for the interview. So when I was living in Cleveland and then I moved to Miami, I was spending a lot of time in LA doing press junkets and movie premieres. So they fly you in, they put you up in the hotel, you see the movie the night before, and you're like the annoying person in the movie theater that's like writing notes, like trying to like get some light from the screen, writing notes. And then the next day you have however many, they call them rooms, however many rooms you have. So like this actor might be paired with this actor. So you're interviewing both of them at the same time. Or maybe this actor or director is just on their own. So they might say, all right, you've got 4 rooms today, and we're going to start you off with Brad Pitt. And you're like, great, okay, cool. So then you walk down the hall, go down to room 1214. And then you sit outside that room, and there's a person with a clipboard there. And they go, what's your name? Great. Okay, you'll be up in 3 people. And then you just take a seat, and you wait for your moment to go in. And then when you go in, it's a setup actually not unlike this. Cameras are set up, mics are set up. You just sit down, and then the conversation begins. And then when you leave, they send you a link to download your interviews. Sometimes they say you can't air them until a certain date, but that's basically it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then you fly home or you drive home if it's a local thing.
Yeah, that's pretty intricate and pretty well laid out. I mean, because they've been doing this for so long.
Oh, they know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
It is a well-oiled machine. And I've been doing it long enough that originally they gave me beta tapes. So you would go home with a suitcase full of like the actual beta.
Wow.
Yeah. Like you're going to have to Google what a beta tape
Physical
looks like.
copies.
Yes. And then it went digital. So then you got SD cards.
Nice.
So then you got like a smaller envelope, but still SD cards. Now they just send you a link.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is way easier.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. You know, Brad Pitt's coming up. How much time do you usually get to spend with these?
Like 4 or 5 minutes.
4 or 5 minutes. Okay.
And I will say that within that, there's very different styles of interviews.
Yeah.
So if you're getting someone on a red carpet, you're probably only getting them for like 2 questions, 60 to 90 to 120 seconds. I think you really have to figure out the anatomy of that interview in advance of like, all right, what's the main question I'm going to ask them, if they're coming up here, because on a red carpet, they're going like, right to the next person next to you and then on and on and on.
Like
then
a
you've got
Subway
the
sandwich.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah, seriously. Then in a junket, it's 4 minutes. And again, they're doing a whole bunch that day. When you get the absolute pleasure of doing what we're doing right now, it's truly a real conversation. I feel like the 4-minute interview is like you bumped into someone in the store and you have to be like, okay, tell me about this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And that's, you got to try to make the most of that moment.
Yeah. And do you feel like with, repetitive questions, do you have to find a way to be unique and different, right? Because you've done 10,000 podcasts, you've interviewed actors who've done 10,000 interviews.
Sure.
You got to find questions that they haven't been asked before. And do you think that's a little tough?
It's very tough.
Yeah.
And it's also finding a way to ask it in a way they've never been asked it before. Because I think that there's always the cliche questions.
Yeah. What's
like,
your favorite movie?
What the worst is, so what drew you to the role?
Yeah.
And then there's also, what was it like working with insert name of big actor that, they're co-starring with? And I just don't think that those questions elicit great responses. And I'm a firm believer that if you ask better questions, you get better answers. So how can you ask better questions? And I look for ways to either ask questions in a way they've never been asked before, or just completely try to ask something that's never been asked before. I like to, especially if it's a movie interview, I like to try to find a line in the movie that like maybe in some way relates to that actor's real life. Like I asked Jamie Foxx recently, because he did that movie called Day Shift. And that movie basically takes these characters on an insane journey that changes their life forever.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the, story in every movie. It's kind of the plot in every movie. But I asked him, like, what was the role that really changed your life forever and changed the trajectory of your life forever? And he gave me such a great response because I actually had no idea what he was going to say. And he said it was Any Given Sunday. And he said it was the first role in his life where he wasn't seen as a comedic actor. I was like, man, that's so good. So I just kind of try to look for a way to ask a question that, they haven't been asked before, and also just take big swings. Like I've got a buddy of mine named Jake Hamilton, who next time he's in LA, he should 100% be on your show. He has taken the biggest swings. He asked Angelina Jolie, like, you have so many great dancing scenes in your movie. I think my grandkids would kill me one day if I didn't ask you to dance with me. And she's like,
wow.
right here? And he's like, I mean, the
Where
worst
else?
you could say is no. She's like, all right. And then they slow dance during the interview. He asked Morgan Freeman, it would be such an honor if you would read my eulogy one day. Wow. And he goes, okay. And he like pulled out a note and like Morgan Freeman was like, Jake Hamilton, what a badass dude. And I'm like, that isn't like, talk about taking big swings. And I think that that's a real lesson to be learned, whether you have a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, just take big swings. Like most of the people don't care about what you're doing. The only people that really care is like you.
Yeah.
Realize that most people don't care at all about what you're doing.
Yeah, that's 100%. Taking big swings and having these memorable moments, that's what built up your reputation, and that's how people remember you. Taking big swings. That's true.
I just wanted to, I want to try to create a lasting moment. Even if it's just one tiny little moment.
Yeah.
Something that's fun.
When you prepare these questions beforehand, like do you have those questions that you wish you asked like Like you're just done with Margot Robbie and you're like, man, it wasn't on air or whatever. I should have asked her that.
There's times like in those short interviews, usually not, because you're like, all right, if I'm going in there, I only have 4 or 5 minutes. I need to ask this and this. Okay. But there are sometimes, especially in the longer interviews, when you like the Freddie Prinze Jr. interview where I met you, I left that and I went, oh man, I totally forgot to ask about this and this and this. Let's make it happen next time. But I just think that if the conversation's flowing, it doesn't really matter. Because the worst kind of interview to me is like when it feels like an interview. And that's why I love that this just feels like a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
We're just hanging out.
We're just hanging out,
just
man.
the flannel bros hanging out.
Just our colors too. Nice.
Look at that.
That was amazing. Yeah. Dude, and listen, do you ever have like, I don't know, what's the word, rivalries, I guess? Like, like a interviewer like Josh Horowitz with another podcast.
He's great.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, you both are great. In my generation, you guys are definitely the two that I always see that have great conversations. Do you guys have like rivalries at all, or is it just like good old fashioned?
Just like that scene in Anchorman, where the rival TV stations have the big street fight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like that. And I pick up, where'd you get a trident? Yeah. No, I look at other interviewers that get either great interviews, like Josh is a perfect example. He just got an hour with Henry Cavill live in front of an audience. I was like, dude, unbelievable. I look at when someone gets either a great guest or a great moment, and I go, man, that's just awesome. Like, good for you. Like my friend Kevin McCarthy got an interview with Will Smith recently, and of course asked Will Smith about the infamous Oscar slap and got a great response. And I went, yes. I love that. So I'm just all about like cheering on all my friends. And if I don't know the person, I'm just all about cheering them on and being like, that's awesome.
So you get a lot of FaceTime with all these people, and like even I even noticed this with Freddie Prinze the other day, the off-camera moments, the things that aren't said on camera or don't go to air. What's your best off-camera moment that you've had?
Ooh. It's so funny because I feel like even if the conversation is flowing really well, people are aware that they're either wearing a mic or a mic is in front of their face and there's cameras here, that I feel like people really, aware of like, I'm not going to say that on camera. But I've had some things where someone will tell me almost like a secret off camera. And I'm like, I know why you didn't say that on camera, but man, I wish you did. And I can completely understand why in a lot of the moments. Like, I do a lot of interviews with pro wrestlers, and there's a lot of stuff that's guarded in the pro wrestling world. They call it kayfabe, which is like that storyline exists within the world of wrestling. And there's sometimes when the camera gets turned off, when the guy goes, hey, when you asked me that thing, I didn't want to say it, but actually, yeah. And you're like, I knew it, yes. So that's happened a bunch of times.
Yeah, like what we had with Freddie Prinze, we talked with him for like 20 minutes, and I felt like, I don't know, it was just an amazing experience. I kept zooming out. I'm like, I'm with Chris Van Vliet, and Freddie Prinze is giving me advice on YouTube and Twitch. This is the
Freddie
best.
Prinze was like hyping up your career. I loved it.
Dude, I don't even know. That was amazing, man.
He's a good dude.
Really good dude. That conversation you guys had, I mean, in the studio, I listened to so many corporate, boring talks.
Oh, really? Freddie Prinze Jr. sat in that very chair.
Yeah, he was right here.
You were sharing the same energy as him.
I am sharing the same energy, man. Getting the pay cut from
Scooby-Doo. That was a great story.
Yeah, great story.
I gotta make that a clip.
Yeah, 100%. Do you also like exclusives, breaking stories? Do you try to maneuver celebrities into giving you those?
I don't look for it. I never want to be the gotcha reporter. But if, for example, I interviewed Henry Cavill recently, and he really hadn't been asked about the Black Adam appearance, but gotta ask him about that. And oftentimes, there's a lot of times where news will get broken from wrestlers on my show. And sometimes it just happens in the flow of a conversation. And I don't necessarily go looking for it, but sometimes it happens. Or sometimes I'll go looking for like, could you explain do you remember the movie Annihilation?
Yeah, with Natalie Portman?
Right.
Dude, amazing.
Right, but the movie kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger of like, hey, what exactly just happened there?
Yeah, the two of them, they alien bodies, Oscar Isaac, Natalie Portman. Yeah, I remember that. That was an interesting ending. Yeah.
So I was like, obviously you can't speak to specifics, but I was like, could you tell us some things that we should be looking for when we go back and watch the movie again? And she's like, ooh, echoes. echoes. And I'm like, and that became like a big thing. There was another one where I was talking to Jason Momoa and I was asking him about like getting in shape to play Aquaman. And he was talking about how beer was like a big thing. Like he would swig, he would chug a Guinness before going on set, and it would like make all his veins pop and whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, like the original cut, like Zach had this scene where I did this thing. And I was just like, oh, cool, awesome. Like I totally thought that his response was just about like getting into shape and fitness. I put that online and that ended up being a clip about the Snyder Cut.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, and it was one of the first people to like fully like come out and talk about a scene from the Snyder Cut in Justice League. And I went, oh, and then it became this big thing of like, you know, Jason Momoa talks about the Snyder Cut.
Release the Snyder Cut. That's like, there's two hashtags in entertainment that have revived, things. The Release the Snyder Cut and Save Daredevil, from what I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, those are the power of social media, man.
It's a real thing.
Those hashtags brought back people's careers. It's insanity, man.
There's been other things. Actually, Freddie Prinze Jr. brought it up of like when they first released the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog. There was so much backlash from fans that Sonic looked a little too realistic. His teeth looked weird. And the studio was like, all right, we heard you loud and clear. We'll make him look a little bit more cartoonish. That never would have existed 15, 20 years ago. The studio would have just done what the studio thought was in their best interest and put it out there. So that's a really interesting time that fans now have their voice heard.
Yeah. I mean, the power of the internet, man. There's a lot of us and not a lot of them. So
yeah, well, I mean, when it works, I think it works.
Yeah.
But you know, there's obviously people that like and dislike literally everything. Any trailer that gets put out, any movie poster that gets put out, they can't listen to everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
But when there's an overwhelming majority, like the Snyder Cut or like this Sonic example, I think they go, yeah, you know what? Maybe our focus groups were wrong.
Yeah. I mean, with all these people that you work with, you know, Freddie Prinze and like these people, how do you get them on insights on your podcast? Do you just build a great relationship with them or do you meet them beforehand? What's your process of getting guests on your podcast?
Oftentimes I'm just sending out a DM and hoping for the best.
Okay, yeah.
I think that I respond with Freddie Prinze in particular. I responded to something that he had tweeted and I said, I'd love to have you on the show sometime. And then he sent me a DM and said, you came highly recommended from one of our mutual friends. And I went, oh, cool. And it was kind of like one of our mutual friends put in a good word for me. And that was what connected it there. But, you know, I'm not afraid of hearing the word no. And I think a lot of people are afraid of like, oh man, if I ask that person to come on my podcast or if I ask that person to come on my YouTube channel, they're just going to say no anyway. So why would I even bother? It's like, you got to try. Because the absolute worst that you can hear is no. Or maybe they don't respond to you. But if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a real power in the question. You've got to ask the question. Because if you don't ask, you're never going to hear any sort of answer. So the absolute worst you can hear is no. But if you don't ask the question, the answer is just inevitably no.
Yeah, taking the swing, the big swing.
You got to take the big swing. We just keep coming back to that.
Yeah, that's gonna be in your biography that people are gonna write.
I feel like I should be a baseball player if I'm gonna call the movie "Take the Big Swing." Yeah.
Oh man, it's amazing. Let's see, I gotta refer back to my notes.
Bring it. I'll text my mom while we're doing this. Arman says hi.
Canada, Cleveland, Miami, Vegas, I believe as well.
I record in Vegas, but I've never lived in Vegas.
Okay. So those spots, Canada, Cleveland,
Yep.
you know, Miami, Los Angeles now.
Yeah.
Being in these different areas of the US and Canada, is it different working in these environments?
I truly believe that living in LA, like in the entertainment world, you're with the best of the best.
Yeah.
So it really elevates what you're doing. You have to be good to work out here. And I'm by no means calling myself good, but what I'm saying is it forces you to level up. You know, a lot of people move out to LA to become an actor, a comedian, a TV host, a content creator. But a lot of people just make moving to LA the goal. And I think that that's such a wrong way of doing it. Were you born here?
Yeah, born and raised Los Angeles.
Oh, so that in itself has pros and cons.
Yeah.
Because on one side, you're here. This is all happening. You didn't have to move here. How fortunate are you, right, to be born in the entertainment capital of the world? The con is you think that the rest of the world might function the way that it functions here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, doesn't.
And everything is...
Fortunately, I don't know.
Yeah. And everything is so much more competitive here. Like you were talking off camera about just buying a house here. Simple things, buying gas. Every little thing, just with, the population we have, everything is super, super competitive. You know? And it's tough. You're right. Only the best of the best make it the top.
There's definitely a small fish, big pond mentality out here. Whereas if you're in a smaller city, there could be more of a big fish, small pond. When I first moved to Cleveland, I got recognized a lot being on local television there. And, the added bonus of interviewing some really big stars there. Then, if you move out to LA, that's great. Whatever you did in that other market's fine and good. That does not matter here at all.
Yeah. So it's like being number 1 in Cleveland or being number 3 in LA type thing.
Yeah. And I think it just forces you to level up. And I got some great advice from someone that was like, when you get to level 10 in the one game that you're playing, you now go over to level 1 in the next one. So like when you level up, you're not going from level 10 on this level to level 10 on the next one. Like you go up and it's like a staircase. So it's 1 to 10 here, 1 to 10 here, and then you keep building up from there. And I think that that's a really good thing to remember, is having that beginner's mindset. Like always having your mind open to learning new things and being open to hearing new ideas and not shutting yourself off and going, yeah, I've got this figured out. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Do you, speaking of texting moms, do you have does your family have any influence of what you say on television and stuff? Like, oh, Chris, you should brush your hair this way, or you should wear this shirt, or, stuff like that. Or
my parents so rarely got to see me on TV because I moved to the US and that's where I was doing most of my television. When I worked in Toronto and they lived in the suburb of Toronto, they were able to watch every night. But no, I wouldn't get a text from my mom being like, actually, on occasion.
Moms are like that, man.
On occasion, when I was working in Toronto, my mom would be like, your grandma keeps asking why you're wearing jeans with holes in them. I'm like, well, it's like the style. And she's like, yeah, she thinks she need to get some new jeans. I will say that, so my parents don't curse at all. And I don't really curse a ton, like maybe here and there for emphasis. I don't know what I was trying to do there. So I've been, just because that was the way I was raised, I think that that's definitely in the back of my mind, that I'm not dropping a ton of F-bombs just for the sake of saying them. But I think that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. Have you ever been involved in a story that you didn't want to be, like some controversy that you just happened upon, Like if someone said something wrong in an interview and you were just like, oh, I was the one that invoked them to say that or something. Has that ever happened?
I've had a few times where someone has been like, hey, could you edit out that part? And I was like, yeah, if it hadn't gone up yet, I'm sure, absolutely. Because I know that they're coming on my show and what they say and do on the show is a reflection back on me because they were my guest. So the last thing I want to do is make them look bad, which will then in turn make me look bad. And I don't want to do that. I've also had times where something goes up, a quote gets taken out of context, and someone messages me and goes, like, what the heck? Like, I wish we hadn't talked about that. And I'm like, yeah, but in the scope of the conversation, it's fine. Yeah, but they didn't see the whole conversation. They just saw those 30 seconds. They didn't see the full half hour or hour, however long it was. So yeah, nothing like terrible.
Crazy big. Yeah.
I haven't got anyone fired or anything. At least I hope not. But there's definitely been moments where someone was like, in hindsight, I wish you hadn't asked me that.
Yeah, I mean that just comes with the territory. I feel like that's with everyone,
Yeah.
The people you work with, they have to be very self-conscious of their image and what's put out there.
Yeah, and I think that I, in turn, have to be aware of their self-image. And I just never want to make anyone look bad. I genuinely just want to have a great conversation with interesting people. Yeah. That's it.
How was it like different, visiting LA versus living in LA?
That's a really good question because I had been coming to LA a lot, probably for the last 12 years.
Yeah, I always assume you just lived here, so that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd been coming here for like 12 years. Like it started when I was still living in Toronto. I came here for my first celebrity interview. I think the thing is you would stay in a hotel in like Beverly Hills or Hollywood and you'd kind of be in a bit of a bubble. You would go see a movie at like a certain theater and then you'd do your interviews in the hotel and that would really be all you'd see. And then you live here and you go, oh, there's more to LA than just that movie theater, the In-N-Out that we always take an Uber to, and this hotel.
Yeah.
So it's different. I love living in California. I love that we have the ocean. I love that we have the mountains. I love that there's hiking here. It's amazing that you can drive 2 hours and be in the desert, 2 hours the other way, be in the snow right now. You can drive 20 minutes, probably with traffic, more like 45, and be at the ocean and be surfing. Like California truly has every type of climate, and I love that. I went to an apple orchard. My parents were in town. We went to an apple orchard in Oak Glen. I think that's what it's called.
Glen Oaks?
Glen Oaks? Glen Oaks?
I think so, yeah.
I think, that's it, right?
Producer Glen Oaks, that's a real thing, right?
Right? Yeah.
Glen Oaks? Yeah, okay.
And I was like, this exists here? I never would have thought we could go apple picking.
Yeah, apple picking.
Yeah.
That's random stuff, but yeah, LA's full of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in the bubble, it's true. Like when you lived here, you're like, Dwayne Johnson's not around this.
He's not. I think that people have this perception of, especially Hollywood, that you're going to walk down the Hollywood Walk of Fame and you're going to like see some of the people whose stars are on the Walk of Fame, and that's just not the case at all.
Maybe on premiere night, but like not on a normal
But on premiere night, you're going to only see them if you're going to the premiere.
Yeah.
Or like you somehow like snuck a peek through like the fence or something.
Yeah.
Although I did randomly see John Mayer walking down Hollywood Boulevard one time.
Wow.
I was just like, oh, that's John Mayer. Oh, okay. What actual city do you live in?
I live in Koreatown, just nearby, right here. Yeah,
nice.
You're in tune with all the cities.
Sure.
And stuff.
Yeah, I've lived here long enough that I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
I've lived here 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. You got some of the COVID years, huh? Lockdown.
I moved here in the heart of it. I moved here in July of 2020.
July of 2020.
Well, because remember when it was only going to last for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
That's when I started planning. Actually, my original plan was to move out here on March 16th. I was going to begin my drive on March 16th, 2020. That's kind of the day that the whole world shut down. And I knew that it was getting bad when the going away party I was going to have that weekend was going to be at a brewery. I was living in Cincinnati at the time. The brewery was shut down and we were like, ooh, maybe this is a thing. And I'm like, it's okay. I'll push the move off for like a week. And I just kept everything in boxes and I was ready to go. And then a week later, it got worse. And then I'm like, I'll push it off for 2 more weeks. And then it just kept getting worse. And I went, all right, maybe I won't be moving anytime soon.
Yeah. March to July. Yeah, man. That's just how the world works. But you made it happen. That's the real thing.
You have to,
Vague results get vague.
Vague goals get vague results.
Vague goals get vague results. Exactly. So you made it happen. Also, I mean, the legendary CVV. I'm looking at you, man. The socks. You made the socks happen.
Oh, what do I have on today? Oh, the bomb pops.
Yeah, that's the...
Are you taking a photo right now?
Yeah, because I got to put this on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Or White Shot gets it, right?
Oh.
Yeah, White Shot
There it is.
There you go.
That kind of came from when I got a job where I was told, like, you've kind of got to dress and, like, wear more suits. And up to that point, I was hosting a show on MTV2 Canada. I was like jeans and t-shirt guy. I was wearing backwards hats, like I was wearing skate shoes. And then I got this job in Cleveland where I was an entertainment news reporter. And I was like wearing jeans with like a t-shirt and then like a blazer. And my boss kind of pulled me aside and he said, we need you to step it up a little bit. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like you told me to just, be myself. He's like, I do want you to be yourself, but I want you to be a little bit more fashion forward. And it was in that moment where I was like, okay, like if this is going to be a thing, I'm going to go all in on suits. And I got some suits I was like really liked wearing. And I'm like, I'm going to go all in on this. But if I'm like kind of saying goodbye to that part of me, I gotta have something that still reminds me like who I am. So my socks were never seen on TV on the shot that I was on because it was like cut off at like your knee.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nobody else will know, but I'll know.
You got
I'm wearing cool socks.
You got a little bit of CVV in there,
That's
man.
right. Or like the liner of my suits would be something fun. I'm like, but I know in my heart.
Yeah, that's so dope.
And it's just kind of stuck with me. And it was actually a really good icebreaker for a lot of celebrity interviews. Because you would walk in and then you would sit down. And when you sit down, your pants come up a little bit and you would see the socks. And a lot of people would be like, what kind of socks are you wearing? What are those? Those look really fun. I got to get you some fun socks.
Dude, yeah.
Just wearing straight up black socks.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I worked a corporate job before this, and it's just, dress shirt, suit, blazer, pants, dress shoes every time, pretty monotonous.
Yeah.
And I love this job because it doesn't matter. I could wear whatever.
This is a pretty great job.
Dude, thank you, man. Producing podcasts and stuff,
Yeah.
it's a dream,
Are you here every day?
I'm not here every day, but I'm here like 4 days. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, thank you, man. It's
What a
awesome.
cool job.
Meeting cool people,
Who's the coolest person you've met?
dude. Let's see. It's the YouTuber Airrack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him.
He
So
recorded here?
yeah, he record. Damn, I can't say this right now.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. Cut. But yeah, he was here.
He was
recording
doing something.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a great time because it's just I think he's a legend. He came up so quick. Wow, the YouTube game pretty well.
Yeah, not pretty well, but I mean, how could you not know who he is?
Yeah. So
Although it does blow my mind when people don't know who MrBeast is.
yeah, dude, it absolutely blows me away.
He's the biggest YouTuber in the world.
He's more famous than some celebrities now. It's insanity,
But like, it's amazing that if we were to walk down the street and ask someone like, do you know who MrBeast is? Or show a picture of Jimmy and go, do you know who this guy is? It's amazing to me how many people still aren't aware of him, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Because that means there's
Potential.
so much room for growth.
Yeah.
So he's already the biggest YouTuber in the world, getting massive numbers.
Every time.
That means that there's still however many billions of people who could still discover his stuff.
Yeah. And he's been really working at that with, switching his languages on his videos and stuff. It's amazing, man. Yeah. Like
He is just crushing it.
yeah. And what you said earlier, you're 20, you're making this happen. The reason why that never hits for me is because he's 23 and he's a billionaire, self-made. So it's always like, oh, you're doing, I'm like, well, MrBeast is a billionaire.
But I think that everybody has their own goalposts that they're looking at.
Yeah. 100%.
For someone to make $1 million, that might be life-changing for them. But like $1 million to someone like Elon Musk is like, it doesn't even bat an eyelash.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a matter of what are your own goals. So if your goals are to be a billionaire and to be like MrBeast, well, what are you doing to try to get there? That's the better question.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of people that look at someone who's super successful and go, oh man, I wish I could be like them. It's like, well, stop wishing.
Yeah.
And start figuring it out.
How does someone be like Chris Van Vliet?
I don't. Like set your goal a lot higher. I'd say that's
No,
that's
I
what
mean,
would
come
do.
on. Look, like zoom out a little bit. You're living in California, wife, kid, on the way.
Yeah.
You have
We're not married yet.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I didn't even notice the ring. Oh, wow. That's okay.
No,
So
it's soon. We're engaged.
yeah, you're engaged because
So I think the biggest thing is reverse engineer someone who's doing the thing that you want to do.
Okay.
So find somebody who's absolutely crushing it in the space that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Figure out where they're at now, and then reverse engineer their process. So
Okay.
maybe they're at step 76 in the process, and you're at step 2. All right, well, what's step 75, 74, 73, all the way back to step 3, which would be your next step, and then go from there. And I think that too many people walk up to the base of the mountain and go, that thing's too high, I could never climb that. But what happens when you take the first step and then you take the second step and then you start moving is you get up, maybe a quarter of the way up, and you look back down and you go, man, I can't believe how far I've come. I still got a long way to go, but man, look how far I've come. That's amazing. Let's celebrate that. And I think that there's too many people that look at the end goal and go, I could never do that, so I'm not even going to bother trying. You got to start. And I think that that's the first step that most people don't take, is they don't even bother starting. They talk about all the great things that they want to do. Man, I want to start a podcast. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to get in great shape, whatever it happens to be. But then they never actually end up taking any steps towards it. So I think the biggest thing is you got to start. What are you waiting for?
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. Taking the steps, making progress.
But look at you, man. You are doing it.
Dude, thank you, man. That means so much coming from you because you're such an inspiration. You've been doing this for such a long time. You've been in my television screen. You've been in my laptop screen, my phone screen. You've been in it for such a long time, and it's so cool to interact with you and just.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, with all the things you've done, it's just you've kept it cool, and you're always the best part of those interviews because of the Ryan Gosling funny 15 minutes or Jake Gyllenhaal funny 15 minutes. There's not a lot of other interviews. It's just you,
Yeah.
So you're.
I don't know. That's very nice of you to say, and I just I'm inspired by being excited for what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Every day. And then being pumped and proud when I go to bed at night. And it's like, if you can accomplish that every day, I think you're doing all right.
Yeah, with no pains in the morning.
Yeah, that's the big. I wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I so badly wanted to be a pro wrestler. And I trained when I was 20 years old, and I could still do a little bit of that. But I'm so glad that life steered me on the path that I'm on now, because both of my knees work. My back doesn't hurt when I get out of bed in the morning, and that's. I just have the utmost respect for my friends that do it and my idols that do it. But man, I'm glad that my life didn't steer me down that path.
Yeah, and you were around it for a while, the wrestling.
Still am,
Yeah. AEW and stuff. I don't know much about that realm, but I know my friends are going to kill me if I just didn't ask you any wrestling questions.
Okay.
And your viewers, man. So... Man, I don't even know where to begin. I'm not in this realm, but have you ever been intimidated by any wrestler or the opposite? Like, I could have beat him up, man.
I will say that the wrestlers on TV that portray the biggest badasses are usually the biggest sweethearts in real life. And that's just how good they are playing their character. So I haven't had any real moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, this person's going to hurt me or be really mad at me. But there's definitely been some moments where the lines have been blurred, where am I talking to the person or am I talking to the character right now? And I'm not sure. And that's just a testament to how good they are at playing their character. I can't really tell. So usually I just dive in and I play along and I'm like, all right, I'm buckle up. I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, and that's why they're great actors because they transition so well into mainstream films.
Yes.
Dave Bautista, boom, plug and play.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson, plug and play. These guys are great actors from the jump,
Although people, know Dwayne Johnson now and they know The Rock for all the massive movies that he's making. But there was a time when he was really trying to figure it out. And there was a stretch of his career in the mid 2000s when he was doing movies that I don't think he was that proud of. And he could tell you the story better than me next time you have him on the show.
Yeah, one day.
But he changed his management and basically said, I'm not happy with the roles I'm getting. I want to do something a little bit, that feels closer to home. And he changed management and they said, look, you're The Rock. Get as big as you can. You're this generation Schwarzenegger. Be as big as you could possibly be. Because up to that point, Hollywood was saying ooh, you got to slim down. And if you look at him in The Game Plan, Tooth Fairy, Race to Witch Mountain, he was a lot slimmer. And they were trying to make him Hollywood. And it was when he kind of leaned into what he was good at, which was bodybuilding, and that felt like home to him, and wrestling, that he started booking the roles we're really he's known for now, that we know him for. Fast and Furious 5, G.I. Joe 2, Pain and Gain. And it's oh, he leaned into what really felt true to who he was as a human. And look at him now.
Yeah, man. Success story.
Yeah, the best.
Hard work, dedication, and doing what you love takes you really far.
It's what you're doing.
Dude, thank you so much, man. That means, from you, man, that means a lot. 100%. I'm texting my mom again.
Oh, hey, Mom.
Well, this is something I tried to find more of you about, but I couldn't. Fishing, woo tungsten.
Woo! Tungsten. That's how
tungsten.
we pronounce it. When I'm passionate about something, I dive all the way in. I don't check the depth of the water. I don't check the temperature of the water. Just dive all the way in. And that's how I am with bass fishing. So bass fishing has been a huge passion of mine for pretty much my whole life. Caught my first fish when I was 4. Pun intended, I was hooked.
Hey, nice.
I started fishing in bass tournaments when I was 14. That's a thing. It's actually a pretty big thing out here in California. And I was fishing with one of my very best friends, and we started a bass fishing company called Woo Tungsten. We sell tungsten fishing weights. We just saw that there was an opportunity in the market for an environmentally friendly weight, which sinks your bait down to the bottom. For years and years and years, it was lead. Now it's tungsten, which is better for the environment. It's smaller, it's denser. I'm not going to get too nerdy about it, but it's great. I will get nerdy for a second. It's great for like techniques like flipping and pitching, Texas rigging weights, drop shot. This is way in the weeds here, but we've had a lot of fun, and the company just turned 6 like 3 weeks ago. And we celebrated. I was back home in Canada. We celebrated by going bass fishing.
Dude, that's amazing.
I'll show you a picture of one of the smallmouth bass that we caught.
Dude, of course, to show the viewers as well.
I gotta pick a photo where it looks absolutely gigantic. I mean, look at that.
Tungsten.
Look at that beast.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That was like a 6-pound smallmouth bass. Yeah, I'll send you that.
Dude, that's amazing, man. Look at you, man. You're succeeding in all the things you love. Fishing, movies, wrestling.
How like so weird are they? Like fishing and wrestling.
The Venn diagram. Yeah. It's pretty tight. A fishing, wrestling, movie fan who's succeeding in all those. I think there's just one CVV, man.
I really think though that the one thing that ties all that together is just passion.
Passion, yeah, 100%, bro.
I really think that passion is the secret sauce of life, and if you can sprinkle that on whatever it is that you enjoy, it's going to make it so much better. It's like lean into the things that you love and do it with your whole heart. And I think that you'll be happy every single day. And if you're happy enough days, if you win enough days, then you'll win the week. If you win enough weeks, you win the month. Win enough months, you win the year, and so on and so on.
Yeah. And you have such a great community around you. Like your fans, they're like, I was, researching a little bit about you, and I was just looking through your YouTube and all that stuff. And the CVV fans are great, such positive people. How do you feel about building your own community that literally just watch your interviews in press junkets?
It's crazy to me. I can't fully wrap my head around it. Like there'll be people that will send me a tweet that are like, "You're the reason that I started a podcast," and I'm like that's amazing. You're probably going to start a podcast anyway, but thank you for kind of nudging you to the finish line. It's wild because, as you know, you record these podcasts kind of in a vacuum. It's just the three of us sitting here in a room. There's 3 cameras here and 2 microphones. And it's hard sometimes to think that on the other side of these cameras are dozens of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people. And sometimes you don't fully realize that, which I think can be a blessing.
Yeah.
Sometimes that might psych you out knowing that millions of people could see this. But I just don't think that you can fully realize in the moment that a conversation like this can be seen by millions of people in the world that we live in now, because we all have these supercomputers that live in our pocket.
And it's evergreen. It's gonna last forever.
Yeah, someone's going to watch this, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, or
your grandkids are going to see the Anne Hathaway moment. Like, wow, Grandpa was a real forward young man.
Hopefully, I still look the same. That's the goal.
Yeah, man.
Jeez, I can't even think about my daughter one day having kids. She isn't even born yet. Yeah. Wow. Hello, baby girl.
Yeah,
she's going to watch this.
Dude, she's going to have hours and hours of high quality audio and video content of you just in your youth all the way to now, and
which I think is amazing. Like it's its own time capsule forever. Back in the day, our parents would write things down and put it, bury it in the backyard and dig it up 10, 15, 20 years from now as a true time capsule. Now we've got these timestamps in our life of what was I doing 5 years ago? Yeah. I'll just go to my YouTube channel. I'll just go to my Twitter. I'll just go to my Instagram. Or when Facebook gives you those memories, you're like
10 years ago.
What was why did I think that was something that was worth posting on my wall? Yeah. Remember when Facebook had walls?
Yeah. That's insane. Yeah, just, seeing your grandpa's black and white photos and stuff. And now it's going to be your grandpa's, here's his TikTok or something.
And I think that that's going to work, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's going to be some stuff that some people are doing right now that they're going to go.
Because there's always the growth thing, there's always 5 years from now, I'm going to be like, why did I say that to Chris Van Vliet,
But 5 years from now, if you're not looking back on your stuff, hell, 5 months from now, if you're not looking back on your older stuff and kind of cringing a little bit, you're not moving in the right direction. You should always be growing with every interaction you have, every episode that you do, every video you put out, like
Get better.
The goal should for it to be better than the last one. And if you can constantly do that, my goodness, you'll be so much better.
Yeah, that's the MrBeast model, man. If you like him and I were in the same, age group cohort, and just seeing his videos, like first videos, I'm like, yeah, I used to make those videos. And just seeing him constantly be obsessed and have his passion and just completely just keep growing and keep getting better to what it is now. It's insane. It's what's the word? It compound growth.
It's a compound interest.
Yeah, exponential growth and stuff. Yeah.
I think the best thing about YouTube is that anyone can be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
But I also think that the worst thing about YouTube is that anyone can be a YouTuber. And I think the problem is not everyone can be MrBeast. And I think that that's a good thing, because you should aspire to be your own version of whoever, your own best version of yourself. But I think that there's too many people that are going to go down that path of like, well, if he accomplished it, I can too. And I believe that the answer is yes, of course you can. But are you willing to put in the work and the dedication that Jimmy's put in? If we're going to use MrBeast as an example.
Yeah, and time.
Like so much time. And I think that there's some people, especially here in this city, that move out here and think they're going to walk down Hollywood Boulevard and get discovered by Steven Spielberg. Unfortunately, that's just not how it happens. Hey, you there?
Yeah, they want the shortcuts, man.
I heard a story. An actor friend told me a story about someone that he knew that would go down to Hollywood and Highland every day and just kind of like walk back and forth between Highland and Orange and Highland, back and forth, just hoping that someone would go, "Oh, you there? You should be in the pictures."
Yeah, that doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way.
Nope. Doesn't. Yeah, that's so wow.
But I also think that, there's a lot of people that think someone like, we'll just continue using MrBeast as an example, that think that he's an overnight success. And they don't see the years of hard work and the
failed channels that he's had.
Failed channels and the time and the effort that he put into it until something clicked and he went, oh, that thing worked.
Yeah, it's the Brad Pitt chicken restaurant story.
Full circle here.
Full circle. Take the big swings like Jimmy.
But it's also like if you take enough spaghetti and throw it at the wall, you're going to start to see which pieces stick. And if you're putting out enough content as a podcaster or as a YouTuber or just in general making content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, you're going to start to see which pieces stick. And you should start to go, oh, okay, you like that style of video? Well, maybe I should start making more videos that look like that.
Trice Van Vliet.
Trice. I wish I could make more videos like that. That got 9 million views on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, that Key and Peele, I mean, dude, the substitute teacher, that's just evergreen, man.
That was 6 years ago I did that interview.
Yeah, wow.
And I was just like, you know what? I should probably make that a short.
Yeah.
And here we are.
You have such a good content library behind you could just do that with, man. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to get on TikTok in like 2019, so that would have been pretty early. And I was like, what am I going to put on there? I have no idea. I don't dance. I don't lip sync. I don't know what I'm going to do. I wish, hindsight's 2020, of course. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So you can't look back on it and go, I wish I could have done this. All you can do is look in this moment and go, all right, what can I do from this point forward? But I look at that and go, man, if in 2019 I had been posting some of these interview snippets on TikTok, who knows? But also I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. Like I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in right now.
Yeah, like you said, the Back to the Future,
Back to
man.
the Future. It's the greatest movie.
Greatest movie, man. Butterfly effect. It's such a real thing.
Yeah, it's such a thing. Like, and Back to the Future reinforces, like, not only is Back to the Future a beautifully shot movie with an incredible story and moments of humor and drama, but Back to the Future reminds us that moments are important and that sometimes no is the best thing we can hear in that moment, even though you so badly wanted to hear yes. Because in Back to the Future, like Marty wouldn't exist if his dad wasn't a peeping Tom that crawled up a tree and fell out of it and got hit by a car. And all these things led to his parents meeting. And I think about that all the time. I think about it all the time. That like, what if I had got that job that I so badly wanted to get? Or what if I had made this sports team when I was in high school that I thought was like the thing for me? And What if I had actually done it instead of, not making the team? Well, it's all led to where I am right now. Yeah. And I love that.
Life's beautiful, man. Choices, it all just branches out, man.
Yeah.
Good choices, a series of good choices takes you to where you are. Yeah.
Life is truly just a compilation of all the choices you've made.
Yeah.
Because all you have control over is what you do and how you react to the things that happen around you. That's it.
Yeah, man. That's so beautiful, man. Look at this guy, Chris Van Vliet. This guy giving the best advice on the internet. It's great advice, You're giving some really good stuff out here, man. Man, how does your team look like? The CVV team, your editors, your the people helping you out behind the scenes, because I'm sure there's a lot. There's even people helping me out. Guy making my thumbnails. Something.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the small.
Great looking thumbnails too,
dude. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
I mean that's one of the most important things on YouTube.
Yeah, shout out Paul. Thank you, man.
Paul, you're doing great work. I'll look at this camera for that one. Okay, there
Paul,
we go.
There you go. Yeah,
I've got an editor that edits my podcasts, Joe. He's awesome. He also makes the clips on my CVV Clips channel. I said that so fast. CVV Clips channel. Oh, CVV Clips channel.
CVV Clips channel.
I've got Troy, who makes my shorts and TikToks, all the vertical videos.
Okay.
He also edits the ads for my YouTube channel. I've got Ashley, who makes the graphics for my podcast. Got Damien, who makes the thumbnails for my channel. I've got Alex, who transcribes the interviews, puts them up on my podcast.chrisvanvliet.com, my blog, my website. I just feel really fortunate to have a bunch of amazing people on the team. I've got Donald, who edits the audio for my podcast and puts it out there. And then when I go to Las Vegas and I get to record at the Blue Wire Studios, there's an entire team of people that make it so that I can just come right in, sit down, they hit record, and we just go. And I can do the same thing here. So thank all you guys for when I record here.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the whole way we got connected.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
recording here at Third Wheel.
Dude, thank you. I mean, like, being good to people, working well and doing your thing, that's like, I feel like that's half of entertainment. You have to be good to people. You have to know how to network well, be presentable, be a good person, and the word's going to get around eventually. You don't have to walk down Hollywood, Highland, and Orange, and Steven Spielberg's going to...
You should be in the pictures.
Joe Rogan, you should get on my podcast.
Yeah. I realize that when you bring other people around you that are really good at what they do, it allows you to dive even deeper into what you're really good at. There was a point when I started this when I was doing everything, and I'm so glad that that time existed. Like, I know how to edit video, I know how to edit audio, I know how to set up microphones, I know how to shoot. That's been a lot of just my very first job in television was working behind the scenes, learning how to white balance things and learning what what Kelvin is and learning what the light temperatures are and working VTR and audio. And I love that I learned so much behind the scenes because it gives me a greater appreciation for how all of this works. But I realized that if I'm only a 7 out of 10 in video editing, a 6 out of 10 in audio editing, and a 3 out of 10 in making thumbnails, why wouldn't I just try to take that off my plate, pass it off to someone who is a 10 or 11 out of 10
and
at
has
doing
more
that?
time to do, yeah.
Because they do that all the time. Man, it makes so much more sense to take that off my plate. Allow you to, if you're the best at this, go be the best at it. I'd rather try to be the best at what I enjoy doing, which is creating content, being on this side of the camera. So when I made that shift for me, that was a huge game changer. Not everyone can do that though. You've got to start out with what's in front of you. And if you're just starting out like I was and you don't have a ton of money, you don't have great gear, just grab your iPhone.
Yeah, that's where I started.
Yeah.
First couple episodes of my podcast were on my phone, yeah.
Grab your iPhone. If you can't afford the $10 tripod that you could buy on Amazon, just set it on a pile of books and go.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Look at this. You just made your hair even better.
Dude.
Wow.
That I haven't cut my hair in 3 months, and
if you pull it down, how long does it go in front of your face?
Oh, let's see. It's not.
Oh,
really...
that's shockingly shorter than I thought.
No, yeah,
that's how long mine is.
It's all product, really. I learned how to just work.
What are you
with what I've
putting in
got.
it?
I mean, I wish I was sponsored. Yo, Joseph from Blumaan. It's the company Blumaan. Such a great company. Oh. Great hair product. It's just, yeah, I really should actually get sponsored, man.
You really should.
Yeah.
You should keep saying that.
Yeah, Blumaan. Sponsor me, bro. I'm right here.
I'll shout out Jack Henry for this great hair. And they have some amazing products that are Really good for you, made of all natural ingredients.
Wow, yeah. I mean, my hair inspirations were Shah Rukh Khan and Tom Cruise. You know who? Do you know who Shah Rukh Khan is?
No, but of course I know who Tom Cruise is.
Yeah, he's the biggest actor. I mean, they're both respectively the biggest actors in their field, Hollywood and Bollywood.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. You'll have to show me a picture.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture, and you gotta interview him one day, man.
I'd love to. When I interviewed Tom Cruise, I was just like, man, his hair does look good. Isn't he 60 now? 61?
Yeah, 60.
60 or 61.
That's him right there. Great head of hair.
Look at that. Amazing. Oh, that guy does look familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's familiar face. Yeah, I'll throw this up there as well.
Please.
Yeah, and
we're putting all kinds of B-roll assets in here.
Yeah, man, that's the week of editing that I do. Yeah. So I mean, it was tough for me to find what you said to Tom. I saw your guys' picture in the Mission Impossible Fallout, the Paris thing. I was really trying to look, man. I couldn't find any video of it. Yeah.
I posted a snippet on TikTok,
okay.
Instagram, maybe on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
No, I couldn't find it. I searched up Tom Cruise, Chris Van Vliet, couldn't find it.
That's interesting. I asked him, it was a pretty quick interview, but I asked him about like the idea of when he goes into a movie, what does he want his legacy to be? What do you want your legacy to be?
I don't really think of legacy. I just think in terms of the moment that I got to make a movie. It was a dream of mine. And then I was making the movie and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. If I could make movies the rest of my life, I'd be happy. And then I was able to start making them, and I realized that I have such a wide range of taste, whether it's a thriller action, a comedy, a musical. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to challenge myself in different roles and different kinds of genres to be able to play such a wide range. So when you talk about my legacy, I really don't know. I just hope what I hope is that people enjoy the films that I make for them.
Because I feel like it is being cemented right now. Like, I think that Tom Cruise's legacy will be, he was the guy that did his own stunts. He was the guy who continued to push the envelope with the action and adventure in his movies. Like, every time a Mission Impossible movie comes out,
the best.
It's like, what's he going to do now?
Yeah.
Like, he hung off the plane, and then it's like, well, what's he going to do now? Oh, he's just going to skydive from like 23,000 feet or whatever it was.
Underwater, hang off a plane.
The underwater, the breath hold there was a 5-minute breath hold or something like that.
Yeah.
This new one where he
jumping off a cliff, motorcycle.
Yeah, he motorcycles off the cliff with the parachute. Like, I truly think that the next Mission Impossible movie, he's going to go to space.
I think he's working on that with Elon.
I truly think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I also think, this is crazy, I think that in 20, 30 years, we're going to talk pretty regularly about the movies that are being filmed in space.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that that's going to be a thing. I think that someone's going to go on the set of a movie and rocket into orbit, film some scenes, and then come back down.
Yeah, you're going to do a press junket there as well.
Damn.
Yo, imagine, dude.
Oh, wow.
Chris Van Vliet and Hathaway on the moon.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. She did a space movie. She did Interstellar.
Oh, yeah. Dude, how did I just forget that? Yeah. I was thinking Gravity for some reason.
Yeah, well, you don't really think of Interstellar as a space movie.
Yes.
You think of it as like a time travel, mind bender.
Beautiful film.
I'm so excited for Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah, Christopher Nolan. Yeah, you're gonna meet a lot of those people. Huh?
I hope.
Yeah, Murphy,
Nolan
Downey
does
Jr.
not miss.
Yeah, he doesn't miss, man.
So good.
What'd you think of Tenet?
I love Tenet.
Yeah, I love it too. Man.
I loved it a lot more. I've seen it 3 times now.
Dude, same. I have it on Blu-ray and everything. John David Washington, Pattinson.
So good.
Dude.
I loved it a lot more when I saw it in theaters the first time.
Yeah.
And I left going, man, I have a lot of questions.
Second time.
I liked it a lot more the second time with captions on.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's what they're saying. I didn't understand. I didn't pick up till I watched it the second or third time a lot of the visual stuff that was happening in that movie.
Like, the thing about that movie is when it clicks, that mini orgasm you have in your brain. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It wasn't until I watched it the second time where I was like, oh yeah, like Robert Pattinson's character knows so much
about John David, his favorite soda.
Right. He knows so many things, and you don't pick up on that the first time.
Yeah. And John David doesn't even have a name in the movie. He's just the protagonist.
Do you believe the fan theory that
he's the kid?
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, it makes sense.
It seems to line up.
Yeah. He's the kid at the end. Yep.
Especially, when the movie ends and Pattinson basically says, like, my story is just beginning. I'm like, oh.
And it pans to the kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tenet, man.
So good.
Listen, Chris Van Vliet, I'm gonna turn the tables on you on this one.
Uh-oh.
What are 3 things you are grateful for?
I see what you did there. I ask myself this question every day. So health, without health, there's nothing. There's this great phrase that I love where it's like, the well man has 1,000 problems and the sick man has one. And I think that that's such a, health we take for granted. And I'm so incredibly grateful for my health and the health of everybody around me. Grateful for my family. So grateful for the people that I have in my life. And that's not just blood family. That's just, good friends, people on my team, people that, are in my, that I talk to on a regular basis. So grateful to have great people around me. And the third thing is I'm just grateful that we live in this time where we have these incredible opportunities. Look at this. We recently met. You're like, I'd love to have you on my show sometime. And here we are sitting here making this happen.
We made it. This guy was more relentless than me. You wanted it to make it happen, dude.
Well, I'm like, man, I'm going to be in town next week.
Dude, thank you so much for that, man. A lot of people in LA are flaky. You can't spell flaky without LA. So
that's good.
But I'm going to be honest. I really thought you were one of those. Yeah, I'll be on your podcast, Radio Silence, but you weren't, and that means so much to me, man.
Well, it means a lot to me to be true to your word.
Yeah.
Nothing bothers me more than people that say, of course we'll do that. Yeah, man, just hit me up. We'll make it happen.
Wow.
And it bothers me so much that if someone says yeah, email me and we'll set this up, I will email them 17 times and be like, hey, remember that thing that you said? Here I am following up on that.
Your words are currency.
Someone asked me recently, I interviewed someone on my podcast and they said, I'd love to have you on mine. And I'm like, okay. They said, yeah, just email so-and-so and we'll set it up. That was in July. And I emailed them recently and they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, the rest of our year, it's all booked up. And I said, no problem. Totally understand. I get it. I get super busy too. Throw out a few dates in January, maybe February, and we'll make it happen. Of course, they didn't respond. It's okay, I get it.
Yeah, man.
But the reason that I ask people at the end of every episode, what are 3 things they're grateful for, is because I think that people don't think in those terms very often. I think that if they can see someone who's wildly successful, grateful for the same things that they have in their own life, like health or family or a roof over their head, it makes you go, wow, if they can be if they can be grateful for that, I can be grateful for it too.
100%, man. Dude, the wise words of CVV, man.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, taking the big swings. Listen, I'm going to take a big swing right now. If you were the wrestler, that you wanted to be, and could you do your finishing move or your punch to me right now?
I could.
Like a Jeff Hardy type.
Yeah, I could. I don't know if my move was a swanton bomb, which I would have to jump off of something. We might have to break a table here. I'll give you the rock bottom through the table. You know the rocks move?
No, I don't.
You don't know the rock bottom?
I'm really bad.
Stand up here for a second. Okay. I'm not actually going to do it because we'll break the table.
Yeah, obviously.
So go like you're going to, let's put these up so we can hear this.
Yeah, we're going to zoom out.
Oh, you got to zoom out. Yeah, otherwise just looking across.
Yeah.
Suck it. Yeah.
All right, we got it.
This is how the rock does it. We'll move this table a little bit too.
Okay.
So you would come in like you're going to throw a really big punch.
Okay.
And I'm going to duck that punch.
Okay.
So do it. We'll do it in slow motion first. So I would duck that. I would catch you here.
Yeah.
Turn to the camera, of course. You're not falling yet.
Yeah.
And then I go down, and I pick you up, and I would throw you through the table.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So in real motion, you would throw the punch, throw it like you'd throw it. I would catch you, and then I pick you up and throw you.
Bam!
Rock bottom. If you smell what the rock is cooking.
Rock bottom with CVV, man.
And then, of course, there's the Stone Cold Stunner, right?
Yeah.
You know the Stone Cold Stunner. We're still zoomed down.
No, it's all good, yeah.
Stone Cold Stunner would be the kick to the gut, right? You got to stomp when you do that. It's the kick to the gut. You just turn around, and then I just break your neck like that. Yeah. So in real time, it's you would fall down to the ground. You get a Stone Cold Stunner. There you
That's
go.
his passion right there, man.
I mean, I enjoy it.
Dude, that's amazing. Dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you
you again for inviting me to come on.
Of course, man. I had to. You're an inspiration. You do great work. You've done great work over the years. And, you know, you're going to continue to do great work. And, you know,
Thank you so much.
camera's on you. Say what you got to say, man.
No, you do great work, and you're going to continue to do great work. And no, such a pleasure to have a great conversation with you. So thank you for having me on. For anybody that is watching this, you can check out my YouTube channel. It's just my name. And my podcast is Insight with Chris Van Vliet.
Awesome. That was CVV, guys.
I think I might have messed your hair up when I did that. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's honestly supposed to be messy. That's the
It's a lot of hair. It's great.
Yeah, thank you, man. That's CVV. Remember, guys, take the big swings.